Hi guys, my name is Anna, you're watching simcue, and without further ado, let's get into this video. So today we are building a Christmas cabin because it is that time of year and I am very excited for it. So I decided to go for a small wooden cabin, a retreat that your Sims can go to get away from the hustle and bustle and just enjoy the Winterfest. So the idea is that you're going to turn this into a vacation rental so that your Sims can go here for Winterfest just like 1 or 2 nights. And the reason for that is that I at least know with myself that if I actually play with the Sims, I never get around to decorating. So this cabin is instead going to be fully decked out, decorated from floor to ceiling, and your Sims can come here and enjoy Winterfest, and you don't have to worry about like pausing your game, decorating, removing the decorations. It's all just here for you. So a lot of the references that I looked at had these 3 supporting beams for the overhang of the roof. So that's what I'm trying to create here with the cottage living roof decorative piece. And we're just going to skip over it a little bit quickly because we will get back to it later and I will explain a little bit more as to why. But in a moment you're going to see the roof color that I went for, and maybe like me, honestly, you're like, why are you going for that bright green metal sheet roofing? But honestly, all of the references that I looked at had this bright green metal sheet roof. And I didn't really know if I just happened to have found reference pictures from the same region or the same country, or this is just like a general thing. But I decided that at the end of the day, it wasn't really a big deal because right now, yes, we're building in Willow Creek, and that's really just to see that some of the colors match properly. And then we're going to move it to Mount Komorebi up on the mountain, where it's always going to be covered in snow. So to be honest, it doesn't really matter what color the roof is because it's going to at all times be covered in snow. Now, I rarely use this orangey wood swatch from Horse Ranch, and when I say rarely, I mean never. So I was happily surprised how well it worked out with this, and I found that there was this set of base game windows and base game doors that actually matched perfectly. And that is such a rare occurrence on The Sims 4 that I was just blown away, and I thought, you know what? I'll just roll with it and we'll just use this orangey wood. So we've now moved it to Mount Komorebi. It's covered in snow. It really adds to the Christmas magic. And you can probably pretty quickly see the color theme that I decided to go for. Because for me, Christmas is very much red and green. So the table and the chimney are from this free holiday stuff pack. If you don't have it, you can just go and download it. It is completely free. And then the chairs are from Cottage Living because I thought it was so cute that they had this like red cushion. I found that actually matched quite nicely. And then we are already getting into decorating, where you will also see that I will choose the colors for the decorations in red, green, and gold. Those are just the colors that I absolutely love for Christmas. So in a moment you will see me place down the kitchen. I decided to just go for the cabinets from Horse Ranch. And then I found this weird issue that if I placed a corner piece and then a cabinet next to it, the countertop, like the pattern on it, wasn't continuous and it really didn't look good, and I don't know why. It seems like such a small detail that just should not be an issue. But I solved it by just placing countertops up against the wall and then doing a kitchen island, which I do think turns out quite nicely. I'm actually a little bit surprised at just how much I managed to fit into what I would consider a very small cabin. I think it's very nice and cozy once we get all of the furniture in there. So for the couches, I just pulled out a selection, went through a different color variants, but I ended up going with these base game ones because I found that they were the ones where the red swatch match the cushion on the dining chairs the best. And then I also added a little rocking chair for cozy vibes. And also because this cabin, even though it's quite small, it's actually for quite a few people. So I felt like if it was realistic, it would be nice to have an extra seating space. And then in the best simcue style, you will just see me flicker through the swatches of this carpet, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth again, and ending up with the first swatch that I picked. So we're already at the bedrooms, which I decided to keep quite simple. So the ones that I imagine are for like parents is just a double bed. And then I knew for the children's room that I wanted bunk beds. And I was happily surprised because I had completely forgotten that Horse Ranch actually comes with bunk beds. And that meant that we could get a perfect color match so that we could really just pull through this cabin vibe. And then we are on to the bathroom. To begin with, I didn't actually really know how I wanted this to look, but then I found this sink from Outdoor Retreat that I thought was absolutely gorgeous for this place. And there was this base game tile where the colors actually match quite nicely, and then this Seasons toilet that also is supposed to look like it's made from stone. And then you would think that if you then picked the Seasons shower that was going to match really nicely as well. But surprise, surprise, it didn't. So instead, I ended up going with this base game shower because I found that the tiles actually match the flooring quite nicely and the sink as well. It's not a perfect match, but it's close enough for me to think that this actually looks quite good. And then I went in with just plain white towels because of course I could have done something more Christmassy, but I felt like for a rental, that was just the most realistic. Like every single rental you go to just has white towels. But I did add a little bit of Christmas with this mat that I in this case used as like a bath mat. And then we will be moving on to generally decorating the rest of this place. And I almost enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed decorating in real life. It was so much fun getting to use these pieces that I would normally never use, because as I mentioned earlier, if I actually play with The Sims, I never really go around decorating for Winterfest. So it was so much fun to pull out all of these items from Seasons and from the holiday stuff pack, mix matching them and just decorating this place almost so that it's like over the top. And I just love decorating. I already have my Christmas tree up, fully decorated, filled with lights. It pretty much just lights up the entire living room. I absolutely love it. I've got decor on my bookshelves, in the windows. I absolutely love it. It's very much a highlight of mine through winter. As you can probably tell though, I don't actually have any Christmas decorations in my own room because I know that that would turn me a little bit insane. So I very much like to keep it to the living room and the kitchen, but there I absolutely adore it. And I am very much the type of person that like to decorate like mid-end November and don't like to take down my Christmas decorations before the beginning of January. I know that some people, once Christmas is over, they just want the decorations down. They don't want them to be up for New Year's, but I absolutely love it. And honestly, it's a little bit with a broken heart that I take down my Christmas decorations in January, because then it's just rain and darkness and sad. But with that being said, I will say that my house is not decorated in any way like this cabin. I think it's also just a difference in style of decor, but I also feel like this is maybe a little bit overboard, and at the same time I feel like it's the perfect amount. Because if this was being sold to me as a Christmas cabin, this would very much be what I would be expecting, like over the top, fully decorated from floor to ceiling. But we are now moving on to some outdoor details, making a chimney for the fireplace. We're going to be fixing the roof because right now it has like 2 lines in the snow because it's made of separate pieces. So we are going to change that back into one piece. And then we're going to add some activities for this cabin, because I thought if your Sims were actually going to stay here even for just a few days, it would be nice to have something to do. So I added the little cross-stitch basket next to the rocking chair. I added the woodworking table outside, and then we're also going to add this horseshoe throwing game from Outdoor Retreat and a fire pit. But first we're going to get sidetracked and just do the lighting for this cabin. This is just very simple cottage living little lamp, and then we'll move back outside and finish up the outdoors, because for a Christmas cabin we of course want the outside to be decorated as well. So for the fire pit I decided to build this pagoda. I don't remember what it's called. I will look it up, but I cannot be bothered right now. It's something. And then I decided to place these benches around it so that you would have a cozy space to roast some marshmallows, which I thought would be very fitting for this Christmas cabin. And this is me just trying to place things so that it looks random. Yes, because we don't want it to be too nice. I feel like normally you would just have like a hole in the roof, but since I couldn't really make that, I just added a chimney, sized it down so that we can imagine that the all of the smoke has somewhere to escape. And then we're going in with just a little bit of landscaping, not adding too much since this is always at all times going to be covered in snow. But we of course want some large Christmas tree, and with that I mean like pine trees, fir trees, spruce trees. Google was honestly not very helpful to figure out what kind of tree a Christmas tree was, so we're just adding all of them. And I think they just look so nice with all of the snow. It's so lovely. So while we're doing the last bit of landscaping, I hope that some of you will be willing to engage with me in the comments, because I'm a little bit curious about when other people decorate. Is November too early? And what colors do you find Christmassy? Or are there specifically colors that you don't find Christmassy? Because I hope I don't offend anyone, but personally, I've never really understood the whole thing with blue and purple for Christmas. I just don't really get it. So when do you decorate, and what colors do you like to decorate with? And now we're just adding a few last minute decorational pieces that I apparently missed the first time. And then we're also going to be adding a bookcase, because I added this lot trait that actually makes it easier, I assume faster, for your Sims to read, and I hope that that applies to skill books as well. So I found this base game bookcase that I thought actually worked out quite nicely, because it has a lot of like knickknacks, so you can kind of imagine that it also holds like board games, maybe some things for going outside, maybe even the last bit of kitchenware that didn't fit into the cabinet. So I thought this turned out quite nicely. And then we will finally be getting back to actually fixing this roof support. So when I first placed them, this was in Willow Creek, and therefore I couldn't really know of this issue. But when we moved it, they were then being covered in snow. And the reason is because they were placed at the same level as the roof, and the game would obviously imagine that you would have placed them on top of the roof. And the way I fixed it was just to place all of the pieces on the ground floor, rotate them, and then raise them up. And the only difference it's really going to make is that you're now going to be able to see them when you're on the ground floor, because instead of being part of the roof, they're now part of the ground floor. But I found that it wasn't really much of an issue, and I would much rather have them look like this, where they're not covered in snow, than just having like weird white beams. The last thing is we're just going to get Bella Goth here. She's going to place some decorations on the house for us. You cannot do this in build mode, so you do need to bring a sim here, and it's really only so that it looks nice on the gallery, because I'm pretty sure that when you place it, they're all going to be removed, so you will have to place them yourself. And then you're going to see a short clip of this weird bug that I had, because I was going back and forth so many times, changing the lot type, trying to upload this as a vacation rental. And it took me some tries before I figured out that apparently you cannot upload a vacation rental. You can only upload it as a residential, and then you will have to turn it into a vacation rental yourself. So it was just a very weird bug that happened. But it's now time to quickly end this voiceover, so I wish you a lovely day. I hope to see you next time, and bye!